There's some new news that came out about Star Wars Resistance and the involvement of Dave Filoni. Star Wars Resistance is the new animated show that's going to be appearing this fall, and we're going to talk about those new details coming up. So there was a new report with Dave Filoni, and he was talking about Star Wars Resistance and his involvement in the new show. And this is coming from comicbook.com, and it says both Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels have been lauded for their compelling stories, thanks in large part to the vision of producer Dave Filoni, who helped bring both series to life. Filoni has accomplished so much within the medium that many fans, this one included, and probably most of you too, have put his name at the top of the list of directors they'd like to see tackle a number of different live-action or theatrically released projects. While Filoni is involved with the next animated project for the saga, Star Wars Resistance, the director admitted he hasn't been as directly involved with each step of the show's development. And then this is a quote from him: "Resistance is a bit different in that I'm not on the day-to-day," Filoni noted to IGN. "I created and set it in motion, but I've given it to other people to raise up. People I've worked with for a long time, who I think deserve the opportunity to tell stories, and I think it's exciting, and I give them my thoughts and notes. I was just doing that this morning, like George Lucas would give me, so that's fun." And that's his quote regarding his involvement there. The Clone Wars took place between the events of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, while Rebels took place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, more close to A New Hope. The upcoming series takes place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, again more close to The Force Awakens, with the final sequence of Rebels teasing which heroes survived to the time period of the Resistance. Fans have wondered if those characters will make their way into the series somehow. While the timelines would allow for these characters to cross over, don't expect Filoni to let anyone else take over complete control of those characters' fates. And I'm going to give you a second, if you haven't watched the end of Rebels, to turn this off, go watch it, and then come back. Okay, so it says, "That would be hard." This is again a quote from Filoni. "That would be hard. That would be, to be honest, that would really be hard to do at this point, just because I've been a part of it for so long. Since especially Ahsoka's beginnings," Filoni shared with comicbook.com, when asked if he could see other storytellers continuing the adventures of Ahsoka and Sabine, who were the two that, there were more than that survived, but they're the two in question that survived, and we were kind of left with a cliffhanger on the finale of Rebels. And then again he says, "I can't imagine not being involved in some way with what would happen to her, or Sabine for that matter." He added, "I didn't want something that wrapped up too neatly for Rebels. I wanted this feeling of adventure continuing, and I thought who better to continue an adventure than these two women who were very compelling in both. It's like a unification of Clone Wars and Rebels, really, taking these two characters further. Now this is interesting what he says. "I have a great deal of ideas on what they've been up to and where they go. I think it's I think it's fantastic," is what he says there. And then it says, "Stay tuned for Star Wars Resistance. Are you disappointed?" I'm asking you guys this as well. "Are you disappointed that Filoni won't be as actively involved with this series? Let me know in the comments down below." Well, I, for one, am a little concerned about the fact that he's not on the day-to-day. I think it sort of is telling. If he's not on the day-to-day for this, what is he spending his time doing? I think probably one possibility, one guaranteed, is the Clone Wars Season 7. I think he's putting a lot of time into that. I think they know that there's a lot riding on this for fans. We're pretty much expecting them to knock it out of the park with Season 7, or at least I am. So I think there's a lot of time spent on that. And then that also leads me to my belief that Filoni's probably going to be somehow involved in the live-action series with Favreau. I'm just guessing. I don't know, but it would seem to make sense. Favreau worked on the Clone Wars with Filoni, so... And now, especially because it's dealing with Mandalore, Filoni knows Mandalore quite well. They've done many story arcs within the Clone Wars series and also with the Rebels series. And Sabine is a Mandalorian herself. So, which makes me wonder if Sabine could come into the live-action show because, where they left Rebels off, it was right after the Battle of Endor, and then this show is supposed to take place 3 years after that. So it's quite possible that we could see Sabine in the live action show, especially with Filoni saying that he's got many great ideas. I have a great deal of ideas on what they've been up to and where they go. So it seems like he's definitely got something in mind there. But as a whole, I mean, Resistance, I'm looking forward to, not as much as I am the live action and the Clone Wars Season 7, especially now because Filoni is not going to be in the day-to-day. Although, look, Lucas created Clone Wars and raised up Filoni to take over. Filoni, I'm sure, has, like he said, has been raising up these people that he's worked with for a while and trusts them. So, and he also wasn't necessarily in the day-to-day with Rebels either. He, I think, had a little more of his hand in the show Rebels than he will with Resistance, it seems. But he wasn't exactly in the day-to-day with that, because he was developing Resistance. And there's also rumors, it's not a rumor, I mean, this is confirmed by Bob Iger, that there is going to be a animated movie that's going to premiere next year on Disney's streaming service, although we don't know if it's going to be a Marvel or a Star Wars or just another Disney film yet. But, could Filoni also be taking his time and developing some sort of live-action movie? There were rumors that there was a Star Wars animated movie that was going to be coming out in a year or so, but I don't know if that is what Bob Iger was specifically talking about or not. But that's interesting to think about as well. Could he be developing Clone Wars Season 7 and I keep saying live action animated film for the streaming service, and also possibly helping out with the live action show with Jon Favreau? I can see why maybe he's wanting to give Resistance off to somebody else. And Resistance, it's dealing with Poe as the main character, so it's Oscar Isaacs at least is doing the voice. So, we've got him as the main character. Gwendolyn Christie is coming back as, I believe that's her name, as Phasma, so hopefully they can make her into a more interesting character. Or, I mean, anything would be more interesting than what we saw with Force Awakens and Last Jedi, just based on the fact that she was so built up before these movies came out. So hopefully they can do something with her. But just the time period, I'm not as excited with Resistance, so it's not affecting me that much that Filoni's not involved. But it to a degree it does, because everything that he has his hands in seems to be better. So, but he still is giving notes, he's still overseeing it. So there's that. But I would like to know what you guys all think about this news that he's not going to be involved with the day-to-day. Does it scare you a little bit? Or are you kind of okay with it? And what else do you think he might be doing with his time? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more content. And until next time, lock the door and hope they don't have blasters.